folks along the road, just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all the smiling faces, gathered along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races. We went to bleeding races.
Oh, it's back through Barton!
1862 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambras and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collinwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gammon along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another video. John Sinclair TV back again tonight on a Friday evening, and I've got a legend. He played for Newcastle for quite a few years now, and it's Warren. Big up to you, Warren, Mr. B.
Come on, man. How are you? That's a great intro, by the way. Did you do that yourself?
No, what it is, right? There's a guy who did that, did it for us, right? And you know, he's a friend of Jade or an Toon trader. His name is as well. So it's friend of his, I think. So I was given that. So yeah, so I'm proud of it.
Very impressive. Very impressive, my man.
Thank you very much indeed, mate. Thank you very much indeed. And there's anyone channel that is, by the way, with Jade as well. So thank you very much for that one, Warren. So guys, like the video, like what you see, hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button as well. Super chat are open. And if you'd like to become a member, it's just 99p. Before we go on to talk about the legend in the room, I've got one here from Mr. Little Allen's. Well, hi to you, mate. Hi to you. Warren, he's got a first question, by the way. I mean, we're going to comment on it later on, but who are the signings you'd like to see in the summer? By the way, if you've got any questions for Mr. B, then far away. He'd be happy to answer them for you. Who would you like to see coming in the summer, Warren?
If I'm being really greedy, Jude Bellingham. I think, you know, with the Champions League on the horizon for us,
okay,
he fits the profile that Eddie Howe loves. He's young, he's aggressive, he's ambitious. It looks like Maddison would be a good signing as well. Someone who's clever enough to open a door when it can be difficult. You know, he's a player that's got an eye with set pieces. And Chelsea at the moment, and I know this is a bit of a long shot, but I think James is an outstanding player and he can play right back, wing back, centre back as well. And he's that young player as well. Mason Mount would be a player. And I got laughed at a little bit with Ward-Prowse saying that, oh, we don't really need him. But when you look at his ratio for free kicks and goals, add that. And I'm not talking about starters. You know, some of them would be starters.
Yeah.
But again, to add that depth and talent to the pool of players we've already got, because there's going to be a lot of players leaving. You know, there's going to be a lot of players that need to go and further their career. You know, John Joe Shelby did it, Wood did it. So, you know, there's going to be players that go along and do that. And they're the type of players that I would look to go for, which is wonderful, because if you'd asked me a year ago or 16 months ago, it would be whoever wants to come and whoever was on loan. So it might be a little bit ambitious, and they're looking at a lot of players, obviously. Rice is another one at West Ham, a true holding midfield player that can allow Bruno to get further up the field and do his damage up there. So, you know, it's great that we're talking about them type of players. And it's not without reason that they want to come, because of what's going on, what they're seeing. Everybody's united, the fans, the owners, the coaching staff, the players. There's a real spirit about it. When I talk to people in the game back home in England, everybody's saying the same thing. Bloody hell, they're doing great. The fans are brilliant. It seems like a great place to be. So why not get them type of players? I think it'd be exciting for the fans, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, the names just mentioned, like Reece James. I'd love to take Reece James 100% there, but I don't think Chelsea, in my opinion, I don't think they're allowed him to go. Declan Rice, I take him as well at Newcastle. He's a proper CDM. It would be definitely, in my opinion, again, he'd be good off to West Ham at the end of the season. And Ward-Prowse, a lot of people are split on this guy. I mean, look, he's good for free kicks, and that's about it. But he's English, and was he 28? And Southampton probably asked for a ridiculous amount of money if they get relegated, but might get about 30 million for the guy. But we'll see what happens in summer. Hi to Leslie. I hope you're well. And hi to Clarky as well. And everyone's in the chat as well. Any questions for Warren, just get them in. And fair play, don't get Warren on. Thank you very much indeed, Mason. Really appreciate that, mate. Hi to Jules. And he's coming in. Hi to chat to everybody else as well. So about the season, Warren, right? This season so far, right? I mean, 16 months ago, we're at the bottom of the table, right? And when Eddie Howe walked through the door, he totally changed the culture of the football club. He totally changed the way we play, improved players like Joe Linton, and even Jacob Murphy. I mean, you start with Joe Linton, what a transformation.
It's quite incredible, you know, and I always think a sign of a good manager is making the players you've already got better. You know, Joe Willock as well, he seems to be better now. People talk about him getting in the England setup. Fabian Schär at the back, he's looks a cool, calm, composed centre-back. Never really got a look in with the last manager. But, you know, I think I'll go way back because I know we spoke a little bit of time as well when we was going forward with things 18 months ago, where we was and where the club was. The ownership should take a lot of credit. You know, they come in and, you know, they got to know the people, got to know the club. And I think it was from the fans from when they turned up at St James's Park when it first happened in that October. The scenes, the jubilation, the euphoria of what could happen, what might happen. It was the fact that they got their football club back. And then from that, it snowballed to the owners. Eddie obviously did well with his interview, and it's just gone from strength to strength. He's, you know, an articulate guy, comes across really well, composed on the sidelines. I said off air, John, and he reminds me a lot of what Kevin Keegan and Sir Bobby. He realised how lucky he is to be the manager of Newcastle, and that seems a flippant thing to say, but if you understand that and understand what you're managing and who you're managing and what you're managing for, it's a powerful thing. Because every day Sir Bobby used to walk in, he was on cloud nine because it was his club. KK was the same, you know, when they had it. And Eddie's got that same demeanour about him, that he appreciates where he is, the fans, and then the players. You know, that I want to give them credit as well because they've been brilliant. You know, the signings have obviously been good. Botman and Bruno. Trippier for me was the benchmark. He set the line when he first come in, and he's been fantastic since he's got in there. Great. And the players around, you know, that have got better, are performing at a high level. You know, Almiron, you know, at the start of the season was scoring goals. We're starting to see, hopefully, the best of Saint-Maximin as well. And it's great to see Wilson get on the score sheet. Isaac, you know, the list goes on and on and on. But it goes back to Eddie getting the best out of the squad of players that he had. I remember that first win at home against Burnley when they're doing a lap of honour. I remember playing against Watford and Bradford, and we beat them 1-0, and we got booed off, let alone a lap of honour. So
wow,
it just shows you how, you know, things have changed, and you know that's how much the fans wanted to be back. They wanted to be in St James's Park, and that's a powerful thing. And then when they go to away games, the Brentford game where they're all behind the goal, and the Nottingham Forest game, and being up there, John, and I lived up there for, you know, nearly 8 years, knowing what it means to the people up there. But, you know, all the people all over the world, the Geordies that are everywhere. You know, I walk around in San Diego and I bump into, you know, a couple of bloody Geordies, you know, talking to me about the team and things like that. So it's great. And, you know, from where we was, and me and you was talking on a podcast about 16, 18 months ago, and it was, you know, doom and gloom and where we're going to go from here. It was depressing. It was really tough. And how it's changed around and how it's gone is quite remarkable. The hardest thing now is to sustain that and keep that going. I think the owners are very ambitious. They want to do well. They want to do the training ground. They want to look at the academy. They're looking at the women's game. They've got the game coming up at St James's Park soon. And they really care about the people in the city, which is, you know, great to see, because Sir John was like that. You know, Sir John loved the club. He loved the people, and you know, he translated that to us as players, me and Les Ferdinand or Ginola and whatever it was. He made sure that we realised what we were playing for. And, you know, so Bobby was exactly the same.
Absolutely, totally agree. Everything you said there, Warren, because at the end of the day, right? I mean, our club's moving so fast, you know what I mean? Gonna probably get a new stand. We'll probably get women's football, lasses football gonna play in a top flight in the future, sort of thing.
John, you know what it is as well? It's still your football club. Like normally when you get owners that come in and buy it and they do whatever they want to do, they get in and they actually make the football club their club. Say like Manchester United, that's not the Man United of old. That's the corporate company now. Our club is still Newcastle. Whenever you say Newcastle, the first thing you talk about is the fans. It's not about where they're going to be, Champions League, what they're going to win. It's about the fans, and that's as I said, an important part of what the owners found out about the club pretty soon, and it goes back to the emotion and the love that the fans showed the owners straight away. And I know it overwhelmed the owners to say, wow, we knew how good the fans was and how loyal they was, but these this is someone's life and it means so much to everybody. And you don't know that until you live up there and you're around it all the time. Popping up from a weekend in London or Birmingham, you don't know that. But when you live around them people, them being the Geordies, you know what it means to them all. And it's a wonderful thing to see how much they're enjoying it. So, I know, sorry to interrupt you, but that's how important it is to realise that it's still the football club. Kevin said that you're going to get your football club back, and we've definitely got it now.
I tell you what, Kevin Keegan's so spot on, absolutely spot on. I mean, me personally, they should have found a position for him and being an ambassador for Newcastle United as soon as we got taken over. That's the first I would have done, given an ambassador role, right? So his face is in there with the newness, you know what I mean? And that would have been brilliant, Warren, do you know what I mean? But
I think they've spoken to Kevin and they've definitely spoken to Alan as well. So there's a plan there. When I briefly met the owners about a year ago, there's a plan what they're doing. It's not just I walk in and we're going to throw money everywhere like you've seen at Man City when they first took over, or PSG. There's a plan. They want to be there long term, and there's a strategy about what they're doing. And the first thing was to survive. That was the most. People said, "Oh, if we go down, we can bounce." But no. It was about surviving. We survived. We got up, and then it was about building. Then it's about doing the team. Then it's about the academy. Then it's about the women's game. Then it's about now getting the ambassadors in. Getting there was a focus on the field, the football pitch first. We had to make sure that we was in the Premier League. Then now we've got to be relevant across the world. When people talk about the Premier League, Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. Yeah. Now you're talking about Newcastle. It's not like, well, they're one of them teams that no one really, they don't challenge, they don't do anything. But now they are. And now the next thing would be to have people back. Alan was at the cup final at Wembley, was asked there to go along. I'm sure KK was, but KK's a little bit of a recluse as well. So it may not suit his life at the moment. But I'd tell you what, I wouldn't have him as dress sense. That's definitely one of our own. KK as our tailor, because he had the worst outfits I've ever seen, actually. And you can ask Les Bird with his little Matador jackets that he used to wear, which he thought he was Don Johnson from Miami Vice, but he wasn't.
Oh, bless him. Oh, bless him. Oh, lovely story, Roman. Any stories you got later on, you tell us your story. I got on some conversation for Stefano. Hi to Steph. Hi, boys. I remember the Philippe Albert, Rob Lee, Beresford, Warren era. Good teams back then. Brilliant, Stefano. And hi to Paul. Hope you're okay, mate. Hi to Jules again. So, look, I couldn't make on your show because I had a show with one today and I got back late as well. Got stuck in traffic. I do apologize. I promise I'll come back next week. And going for Tony. Comedy went from Newcastle back to Peterborough. Cool. Ask Warren, this is Stefano. If he's available to play, please. He'll get into midfield at the minute, Liverpool fan.
They ain't got the money, Liverpool. They can't afford him.
Exactly. Exactly. Say hello to Wadsy for me, John. Look after them in Bobby's Vian. Just tell him Big Andy was asking after him. That's an Andrew.
Cool.
No problem there. And I think Leslie's got a question as well because she sent us on the WhatsApp. She asked us a question. First, we said thanks to Warren. So many great memories in St. James in your time at the club. So Leslie's been nice to you there. We should say thank you. And she also asked the questions. Sorry, go on, Carl. Go on.
No, it's wonderful time. Like I said, that's why. When you do go back, and I was lucky enough with the cup final season, Alberto Solano was there, and Alan, obviously, and Rob Lee, and John Beresford. It was great. We keep in contact now with WhatsApp, and we're always, keeping in contact on social media as well. So, it's a special time for us as players. It's not just for the club, but for us as a person. I've always said it. It's
we lost.
Best time of my career and best time of my life up there. I loved every minute of it, and so I appreciate that when people say that it gives them a bit of joy as well, because that was our goal. We was called the Entertainers, and that's what we tried to do.
Absolutely. We got the entertainers back in Eddie Howe. Big up to Foxy, by the way. Hi to you, mate, our South American expert as well. I hope you're okay. Haven't seen you for a long time, Foxy, and I'm glad to see you back again. And cues for Warren. And what are your thoughts on the pre-season trip to the States? And we just spoken about that slightly. In case Jules haven't heard that, can you just give her the answer to that one, Warren?
Yeah, no, I think it's important for the club. I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, I can go over and see the team and meet some of the players. I'd love to be able to do that. And I asked numerous times when they'd come over before, and they said no, it's okay, we don't need you. So that was fine. But going to New York's going to be great. And then obviously Atlanta's going to be special for Darren Eagles and Miggy, because they obviously played there and was working there for a time at Atlanta. It's a great city as well, great place to go to, and Philly's going to be a great experience, and it's great for the fans, because in the UK, and because of now podcasts and everything else, we've got Newcastle fans all over the country in America. I've lived there 15 years now, and whether it's in Chicago or Portland or down in Dallas or in Denver, they're all over the place, and they'll all be going and flocking to see it. It was great when we had the Premier League show with NBC, and Shay was over here with Alan and Steve Harper. So it's very much a conscious effort by the club to start pushing the brand and getting out and seeing the fans and being around. So maybe we'll be lucky enough to do some talk-ins. We'll go and meet the players. Stuff like that would be great. And I'm going to, unlike you can't do it. I'm going to take a week off of work and go and tour with the lads. I'm going on tour. You're never too old, John. You're never too old to go on tour.
Hey, stop.
I'm going to be I'm going to be a groupie and follow them around.
Stop being bigger, Warren B, man. I want to call, man. I want to call. If I get that, I'll come and find you, man.
They'll probably get you arrested. Who's that old cod you're following the group around? So I'll be looking at the boys and cheering them on it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, bless you, Warren. Bless you, man. But I got all an invite as well, man. Like you said, take time off field. Take a second, I will do that. I'm curious for Warren. We have that question, by the way. Eddie's work, that giant mate, and all the Jordans that's listening. Paul, you're absolutely right. Got one from Douglas as well. Douglas from Arthur. Please hit the subscribe button, mate, if you can. What now for young Elliot Anderson? Struggling for game time this season. I'm going to add further quality. Do you feel alone for next season's best both parties? Well, first of all, Douglas, I think he should stay here personally and get games with us because we're going to need him. What's your take on Elliot?
Yeah, no, I think he's a good player. And Gordon as well, the young kid. I know he made a bit of a mistake against Brentford, but he wanted to play, and it was for a reason. And it was great to see Richie put his arm around him, and obviously Trippier as well, just to calm him down. And we've done that with Kieran Dyer before. We've done it with Craig Bellamy before. Yeah. So when you're that type of player and you want to play and you've got that opportunity, and he'd been injured as well, so he's waiting for that chance. But yeah, I think the young kid Elliot has got I was devastated for him when he thought he'd scored a goal at Nottingham Forest, and for whatever reason VAR took it back offside. I don't really know what offside is now, where I used to know it was offside, but it got caught up. But I think he's a talented player. It's going to be harder because, as I said, I think that the owners will bring in players. But if you look at, say, top clubs like Liverpool have done it, with some of their players. Harvey Elliott, jumps out there, and then Pep's done it with Foden earlier on, kept him around, didn't really ship him out on loan or go to the Championship or Division 1. And I think Eddie will do the same. There might be other young players that have to go off and learn their trade somewhere else, but I think he's one that would benefit being around, and the size of him physically, he can handle it. His attitude looks great. He's just going to have to be patient, and it's not easy when you're a young player and a talented player, but what I've seen so far and what I've looked at him, I think he's a hell of a player, and he's going to get better and better. But he's just going to have to be patient and learn off of players around. So I think that would be the one, if he does keep a young player around, he'd be the one that would be in and around. As I said, some of the younger players might go off on loan. But he's one that you want to keep around, and whether it's in the cup games or, please God, in Europe. Use him in Europe sometimes when hopefully we've qualified for the next stage and things like that. Then bring him in then to play in them type of games as well.
Yeah. Fair shout there, mate. You're absolutely right. Well, I'd definitely keep in in these games with us as well. He's going to be a stellar. This guy's going to be a stellar player in the years to come, and he's with us. My first ever game was Leeds v Newcastle 4. I was there. Early 2-4s on the Bobby. Pretty sure Warren played that day. It started snowing just after he scored the winner. I'm not sure. Did you play in a 4-3 win against Leeds? I don't think it was one. I mean, I know.
I might have gone by then. That's when Nobby scored, wasn't it? Nobby scored the winner.
Nobby scored the winner, and Robbie Elliott got us a goal back to 3-2. And
Nobby scored. I'd gone by then. But yeah, I was cheering you on.
Good lad.
I don't know what Nobby was doing up there at halfway line, because he never normally gets up that far. He's normally on that right-hand side on the wing, but he was tearing down the middle and managed to put it in. It was great seeing him the other day as well, bumping into him. Great memories. And the result wasn't great for us in the cup final, but for 2 hours, me and Nobby were just laughing, about the old times and how he was and what's gone on. And it was great to catch up with him. A wonderful player. Lives in the Northeast now. I'd love to get him on the coaching staff. He's been involved with Peru in coaching now. There surely must be an opportunity for Nobby to be around the younger players at Newcastle to help out. He's living up there. He's a wonderful player. His English is good. Obviously, he speaks fluent Spanish as well, so that would help some players. Yeah. And be a dead ball specialist, because wonderful little player, wonderful, and even better person. He's a great player, but even better person as well.
Absolutely. He sounds a decent guy. I'd love to get Nobby Solano on my channel one day if I can find him in a way. Big up to Stephanie, brother. Hi to you, Stephanie. Hope you're okay. Warren, do you still keep in touch with Philippe Arbet?
No, I don't. I don't know if I spoke to Philip, it would be like the old days, but I've not come across him. I thought I'd maybe bump into him in the World Cup when I was out there in Qatar, because I know he was working, but I didn't do any of their games. I got a great relationship with Philip when we was there, so I don't, but I love him. I think he's one of the best players I play with. Just a funny. When I think of Philip, I start laughing, because he was a very, very dry sense of humour, funny guy. And really adapted well to the Northeast, and he used to love playing pool. He used to go on a Sunday. He'd go in the pool place and just play pool for like 8 hours a day. But yeah, what a sweet left foot, what a good player. His injury knocked him back a little bit, but great to be around. But unfortunately, I don't. But I know if I bumped into Philip, we would have a laugh and a joke, because he was good company. Same with David Batty. I've not spoken to David Batty since he probably walked out the club and I left. But I know with Bat that if I spoke to him, we'd have a laugh and a joke. And I've come across Shaka Hislop over in America and been around them. I've seen Lee Clark and all the other guys. But yeah, he would be one, Philip, that I'd like to see, because he's maybe one day when we all get back together, we can have a laugh and a joke, and maybe one or two lemonades when we see each other.
Good man. Let's hope we get Newcastle All Boys reunion. That'd be fantastic. Who's the most national? Did I read that one? Who's the most national talented player you ever played with? From Stefano.
Played with, I would say, probably Paul Gascoigne, for getting ready for Euro '96, he was on a different level then. Peter Beardsley for me was my favourite. You know, week in, week out with Pedro. Was a great player. Some of the things David Ginola did when he first came to the club, I don't think anyone's ever seen that before. The skill, the grace, the power, the elegance that he had, the composure, and he was good looking as well, which really pissed everybody off. And just someone for a will to be the best. Alan Shearer, you know, his record scoring goals, and it's not. I said to Alan, you know, and I've never really spoken to him about this, but
yeah,
I've never known a professional work so hard at his game, you know, and that's like his trade. He got the best out of whatever he could do. Now, whether that was doing some weights, whether that was doing some stretching, he was not a runner. He hated pre-season, but come training, come games, come goals, he was the best there ever been, you know, and it was a pleasure to play with him. Against was Zidane. We played against Juventus. He was phenomenal playing against him. Henry was another one that come out. He had that spell probably towards the end of the 90s, early 2000s, where he was unplayable. But, you know, Gazza for me had just everything that he had, and we know about his talent and we know about the other side of him. But what people don't know is how much he loved the game, how much he wanted to be part of the game. And because of whatever mechanism in his mind, so Bobby asked him 4, 5, 6 times, come down and coach, come down and be with us, come down. But he just couldn't translate that to what he wanted to do. But, you know, you ever sat down with Paul and you speak, everyone, you know, when you think of Gazza, you think of the silly things and you know, how his personality was. But for me, when I was around England and I sat on a train with him when he was leaving Middlesbrough to go to Everton, and we never spoke about anything else except football. It wasn't about, oh, what about Jimmy Firebellies, or what about Gazza when you did this? It was all about football, how it was in Italy, the systems, the style. And so when I think of Gazza, I think of that. I don't think of him, you know, doing silly things that he used to do, and that was his personality. I think of him as a knowledgeable football person and loves the game. So for me, he was at that point, you know, we all remember the goal against Scotland over Colin Hendry and putting it away, and some of the performances against Holland that he did was brilliant. And, you know, we reminisce a little bit, and you look at Italia 90 when he was that close to maybe winning the World Cup for us. You know, he was a brilliant player, Paul.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic player over the years as well. And, you know, like when he's on it, he is magician. Absolutely fantastic. He really was. Anyhow, next thing, the manager, great show, John, and thank you very much indeed for that, Matt. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon.
Not for 20 years. He ain't going anywhere for 20 years.
He's going nowhere, Matthew, nowhere near. And he's a Bournemouth fan. He's a great guy as well. Matt, hit the subscribe button, please, mate. Thank you very much indeed. Hi to Alan, mate. Hope you're okay. I've got a question from Leslie. And question you, Warren. What would you say to a Southern-based player thinking of coming to Newcastle United, given negative talk from pundits? I mean, for example, you might have listened to it, right? I mean, Gabby Abonglaho, right, said he'd rather play for Brentford for less than play for Newcastle for more. Now, for me personally, Newcastle are a terrific club, right? Yes, at the end of the day, right, these foreign players may want to come to London, yeah? And that's it. Go on, take it away, Warren.
Well, I won't even go about Gabby. He's probably a nice fella, but he's not the brightest, is he? So I won't worry about that.
Not for me. Not for me, no.
You know, for me, Kevin Keegan said it to me when I'd spoken to Celtic. I'd actually spoken to David Dean at Arsenal, and they was waiting for a manager to come along. Everton, Sheffield Wednesday as well, who maybe not, people don't realise, but was a big club at the time with Trevor Francis and the players that they had there. Kevin Keegan said to me, come and join a big club. And he didn't disappoint me. And, you know, anyone that was asking about Newcastle, I would say without a shadow of a doubt, it's one of the best places in the world to play football because of the town, because of what I spoke about earlier, the fans. If you can handle that responsibility that you're playing for, you're not just playing for a football club, you're playing for a region, you're playing for a city. If you can embrace that and know the power that Monday to Friday, then people are working hard. On the weekend, you better perform. If you can handle that, you'll be lauded for the rest of your life. You know, we never won anything. We failed. We come second twice, 2 FA Cup finals, we failed. But you ask Alan or Rob Lee, or if Gary Speed was around and Shea when he goes up there, Ginola, you know, Les Ferdinand. Les Ferdinand played 2 seasons, and he's loved up there because of what he did and how he played and what he gives to the fans. So any player out there, you know, the training ground's going to get better. It's a huge club with the drive and the determination to be successful. And if you do that and you are successful with that club, Bruno said like he wants to bring a championship to the club. If he does that, they'll have a statue of him outside, because that's what it means to the people out there. It's different. It's special. So people like Gabby, you know, when he goes up to the quayside after he's played a game and hangs, he ain't got a clue. He really hasn't got a clue. And, you know, that's why I don't have a go at him. I don't go on a rant about him or whatever, because he doesn't understand, because he hasn't got a clue what it means to the people up there. And if you do that, Les Ferdinand has said it. He wished he never left. Ginola said it. He wished he never left. You know what I mean? So Tino Asprilla played all over the world. His best times, I tell you, was when he was at Newcastle. And he didn't play regular because he had...
Oh, and we lost him.
So he had people in front of him. So, you know, any player that wanted to be part of the club, and, you know, I'd say so, if you can handle that pressure and that responsibility, you'll love it, because, you know, they love their football up there. Great place to live. You can purely focus on it. It's a real football town, and, you know, it's a special place. And that's what, you know, all of our players have said. Philippe Albert, all of them players have always said the same thing. It's the best time of their career. So all this myth about, I want to be in London, they're not the real players you want. Because if they just want to be in London, they're not really coming to win something. You know what I mean? If you want people that want to come and win something and be the first to do that, be the benchmark of going forward. So you don't get old farts coming on podcasts talking about what happened 25 years ago when you never won anything. You want people that are talking about, do you remember when we beat Real Madrid in the Champions League? Do you remember when we picked Man City to the Premier League? Do you remember when we beat Man United in the FA Cup? That's what we want. And if they do that, if people can do that, then, you know, we're going to be successful, because you want them type of people. You don't want people that just want to come because it's like, you know, people ain't gone to Manchester because of the food or the nightlife or whatever. They've gone there to be successful. They want to win. And, you know, why are we no different than that? Why is Newcastle no different to that? Because, you know, we want to win. We want to be successful. And that's all we've ever wanted to do as fans, is just to compete. Just compete. If we won something, bloody hell, I think there'd be a national holiday in Newcastle for about 3 weeks. So, you know, that would be the ultimate thing that we want to do.
Well said, Warren. Well said. I mean, 100% everything what you just said there. Because at the end of the day, London's not be your end all. I know you're a London lad, but at the end of the day, right, you come to a club because I want to win something. It's not because you want to live in London. There's what it's like in London. It's just like the same things in Manchester. It's like, I love Italian football, yeah? You don't say, I want to come to Italy. I want to play in Rome. There's wonderful cities in Italy. Milan, Naples, or Napoli, right? Florence, Turin, right? Lovely places to play your football in Italy. But at the end of the day, you cannot beat Newcastle. I want to ask Warren what he thought on Elliot Lee this season at Wrexham. Do you think he plays a bit like his dad?
Who's that? Say again?
Yeah, so Mason, he said he wants to ask you what he thought on Elliot Lee this season on Wrexham, at Wrexham. And he's played a bit like...
He's quicker than his dad. He was quicker than his dad. That's the thing. Elliot Lee, it was a great... I text Rob when the goal went in. I was watching it on my phone, and when it went in. And I've known Elliot since he was, you know, a toddler. And then to see him have his career, and Oliver, the other son as well, it is great. We actually had to retire this season. But yeah, at Wrexham, I've seen Rob on Instagram mixed in with all the stars, Ryan Reynolds. He's changed, Rob Lee. He's fucking changed. I bet he wouldn't buy Ryan Reynolds a drink. He's never bought me one in 25 years, so he ain't going to buy Reynolds a drink anyway. So, but yeah, I'd love for Rob. But for me, Rob Lee was the best player to play for Newcastle, pound for pound. I know Peter Beardsley for me is the best player, and Alan's the best goal scorer. But for what we paid for Rob and what we got out of Rob, I throw Speedo in there as well and Shay. But Rob for me was so underrated as a player. Not by us. And I went to Derby with him. I had another couple of years with him as well. He was a hell of a player. And if his son can just have a little bit of what he's doing, but it's a different game now. It's a different game. But great for Elliot to do that. I mean, he had a chance at West Ham. He was at Luton, and then to do it. But Rob was a top class player. You had and I was thinking this. You had the Scholes and Gerrard. And Rob was just under that lot. Not far under that, but he was just under that. But he was a top class player, Rob. Really good player.
He's class, actually. Another half an hour go with the legend in here. So if you've got any more questions, try and find out. I'll try and ask the best I can. I'll answer the best I can as well. And one for Foxy as well. Never really heard him talk about it, but his final year at Newcastle. Your final year.
My year, it started off well. We was in the Intertoto, and what had happened as well, and I had a really, really good relationship with Sir Bobby. When he first come in, he had a chat with myself. I don't think Rob was there, but Gary and a couple of other senior players, Nikos. He said, obviously with Kieran coming in, Craig Bellamy, Aaron Hughes, Jermaine Genus, Andy Griffin, Liam O'Brien, the younger players, in a couple of years, we need them to be ready to play for Newcastle week in, week out. That's when you have these young players. Talking about the young player, Elliot, and Phil Foden. We was the senior players. Bobby used to call us the blue chip players. And he used to make sure that, Kieran at the time maybe wasn't ready to play 38 games for Newcastle with the expectation, but he was ready to play 25 and then go for Aaron's the same. Aaron had come in, got to play well every time. So my final year, I sort of see the writing on the wall. I started it, and Bobby had spoken to me earlier in pre-season. We love you having you at the club, but it's the right time now. And that's the difference with Bobby and other managers. He used to talk to you and let you know. He said, look, within this year, you're not maybe going to play as much as you want. Things change, people get injured, but as it stands at the moment, and I want you to know that. If you want to stay, we can put you in the academy. He knew I was doing my coaching license. I was doing my UEFA B license with Stuart Pearce, and then I was just about to do my A license as well with Stuart. And he said to me, 33 years of age, we want you at the club. You'll be great at the club. And I said to Bobby, listen, I want to keep playing. I love playing. I understand what your vision is, and you're absolutely right. Because 18 months later, we was back in it from a team that was mid-table going nowhere. He got us back in the Champions League. So we're in that final year. I started the season off. Then Aaron come in. I had a little bit of an injury with my lower back. Wasn't playing well, but I needed to play. And then it got to October, November, and he said, "Look, I'm not gonna play you now. It's time. It's time. I spoke to you a year ago. Spoke to you 3 months ago. The time's now." He said, I'm not going to travel. I'm not going to take you around the country and sticking you on the bench. You've been here. You've been great to the club. You've been a captain when Alan was injured. I'm not going to do that to you. You can stay and do that. But I said, listen, Bobby, I want to play. I want to play. And then it was a transfer window in January. Beginning of January, Derby come in. Bobby was like, what do you want to do? And I said to Gaffer, I want to play. And I shook his hand, and there was no problem. Aaron was ready to go. The back line was doing well. It was time for me to move on. Laurent Robert was killing it on the left-hand side. We had players that was coming in. Nobby obviously was doing well. And that was it. So at the time, my first initiative, when he said, no, Gaffer, I can still play. I'm only 33. I'll be fine. It was the right thing to do for the club. It was the right thing to do for Newcastle, and I accepted that. It wasn't made. Rob found it difficult when Rob had the same similar conversation when he said about Genius coming in, and Rob went, I'm better than him. I can still play. Yeah. But I knew deep down in my heart that my time had come. I'd given everything to the club. I'd given everything I could. I'd given the lot, and then it was time for me to say thank you. And I went off to Derby. I had a couple of years there. It was tough. It was difficult. Fitness, the league. And then 2 years later, I retired. And it was the right time for me to retire. I didn't want to retire drifting down the leagues and going out. But the last year with Newcastle, my only thing, John, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye at St James's Park. I didn't get a chance to come out at St James's and say thank you to the fans. You know, I've gone up there afterwards and I've done that. But that was the only thing. And if people remember when we played Derby, and it was just up the other day on social media.
Yeah.
Newcastle won 3-2 with Lua getting the last goal in the dying second.
I was there.
I remember when Rob and Alan hit each other and they collided their heads. And I went round to the Derby fans first because it was the right thing to do. I was playing for Derby. I was Derby captain. I said thank you. And then I went over to the away fans and said thank you to them. But I never really got a chance to say thank you at St James's. That's the only thing that I regret maybe not having the chance to do. But it is what it is. And, you know, it's 20 odd years later and things like that. But, you know, that's just to give an insight of how Bobby was. He'd already planned 18 months ahead. He'd always been thinking about what he was doing. Then, you know, he knew he brought Kevin Gallagher in for the 6 months. He said to Kevin, I'm going to play you in different positions because I want Bellas and Kieran to get ready next year. And if you remember, Kevin played everywhere. Played on the left, played on the right, played down the middle with Alan and did that. And he was a great servant. He was only there 6 months, Kevin Gallagher, but he was brilliant for us because he'd give 6 months to Bellas and to Kieran to get ready next season to get us in the Champions League. Because it's different playing 15, 20 games for Newcastle. When you have to, week in, week out, 30-odd games, that's a lot of responsibility. And it mentally, it's tough. And that's why I respect a lot of players, you know, playing at big clubs for a long, long time. Because it does, as I said to you, at the end of it, when I left Newcastle, I said to my wife and that, I said, I ain't got no more to give. I've given everything. And, you know, it was ready then for me to have a different way of training, a different environment to be. Yeah. And as I said, Derby was there, and I enjoyed my time, although it was tough. It's a good football club, and I enjoyed it. But I've done everything that I set out to do at Newcastle, and the only thing I didn't do, and as I said to you before, we failed, is not win a trophy. But I've given everything. I ain't got anything left to give.
I tell you what, since being at Newcastle, Warren, you've been absolutely fantastic. You're not going to get one bad thing out of us at all. And I believe Newcastle fans this year exactly the same thing. You've been absolutely terrific. In a black and white shirt, you have given everything, my guy. You have. So don't be downhearted, mate. You gave it everything, mate.
I was shit against Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup, if you remember rightly. I was shit that game.
Hey! Well, you can have one or two bad games, mate. Exactly. You know what I mean? We are used to that, man.
Big Dan Burns, when he was getting done at West Ham. Everyone has a bad game, big fella. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. He's not world class, but he does the job for us.
Exactly. And they won 5-1, so he's got nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
No one remember his bad
performance. I love the song, by the way. I love the song. Gone for Warren, by the way. Big up to Warren, by the way. Hi, John Warren. I used to watch Warren when he was at Newcastle United. I wanted to congratulate Warren for the assist he had after he left the Stones, and he was fantastic at Newcastle, by the way.
Wow, that is a blast from the past. Yeah, that was good times as well at Maidstone, playing in the Football League for the first time, and yeah, I was there for 10 months and then straight into the Premier League at Wimbledon. So yeah, it was a great football club, Maidstone. It's still going now. I love it.
Fantastic stuff. Go through the comments as well. I mean, you've got another 15 minutes to go because Warren's a busy guy. Like, we can go on for 10 hours to eat. Like, we can do this quite easily. Let's be real. And Mace's got a question for you. What was Killer Klein like in the dressing room in your time?
I never played with Killer.
I think you played with him, didn't you?
No, but I met Killer when we was both invited to St James's Park. It was the FA Cup game against Cambridge. And he turned up with his leather waistcoat on, leather trousers. He's a little bit eccentric. He obviously had the beard and the beads and everything. I played against Killer when he was at Coventry, and obviously knew about his status at Newcastle when Kevin brought him in, and he was, instrumental in keeping the team up, and then obviously getting them promoted as well. again, going back to what I said about the fans loved him. He was signing autographs. He was having pictures. A really down-to-earth fella, but on the pitch as well, a proper leader, an old-fashioned, if you like, centre-half, exactly what KK needed at that time. And I spent, as I said, we watched the game and he was there with his wife and we had a few stories to tell and things like that. But our paths never crossed the games. It was great to spend time with him and be around him. And a really, really nice man, a good man, a good person. And it was nice to see the club ask him to come back, you know. And it wasn't that time of all the glitz of the Premier League and the entertainers, but he was a big part of the story. Ned Kelly as well is another one. Peacock, you know, Liam O'Brien. These players got KK to where he wanted to get to, and then that allowed the likes of me, Les, Ginola, Philip Albert, Pavel, all of them players. Tino started coming into the club, so you know we owe them a big thank you as well. But yeah, it was great to see Killer come along as well. But he has some good stories. He's a good person.
Absolutely. Like, you know, he cost quite cheap as well, and he did a fantastic job for us as well. Killer. If he played today, I tell you what, most players would like to face him at all whatsoever. He'd be that good. You know what I mean? Got one from Davies.
I don't know whether it's down the field too long with VAR. That's his only problem now. There's cameras
Exactly. I like coffee. He's a regular on the show. Got a question. Any chance of Newcastle to visit Asian countries like India, Singapore? There are huge Toon fan base there too. Gotta be some fans in Asia countries as well. Do you know what I mean? But I love to go to places like that as well. Australia as well. So hopefully one day. And hardly.
We went out there with Alan's time. We was out in Bangkok. We went to Singapore and Japan as well. So you know that'll be on the next trip, pre-season trip as well. So obviously everybody's getting used to not having this COVID thing. So yeah, it's only a matter of time. But there's fans all over the world. You know that's where you know it's so unique. The shirt, the colours. You know that's why you'll see Geordies all over the globe.
Yeah. Absolutely going to be huge. You're going to be huge. Big up to Davey, by the way. Hardly ever missed a home game while I'm played, thanks to complimentary tickets from Malcolm Dix. So I don't know if you can remember that one. I mean, he basically said Davey's never missed a home game while you play, and Davey's a good guy. So keep those comments coming in. Any questions of Warren, fire away. Just got one here as well. Family friend. National gifted players Warren played with, would King Glacier be up there with them? Always comes across as a lazy bugger, but so much talent. Georgie King Glacier.
Georgie, he was a little Fonzarelli. He used to love his little leather jacket that he had on. We used to call him the Fonz because he had that little leather jacket on. People don't remember, but Happy Days was a series with a guy called Fonzarelli for the younger people that don't realise. Georgie was a talented player. There's no doubt about that. You had to compliment him with people around him that would give him the ball. But yeah, he was a very talented player. Some of the skills that he had, but he wasn't a runner. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, he worked hard and great, but give him the ball, he would make something happen. Unfortunately for Derby at that time, we didn't have enough players that could compensate for him. We needed everybody pulling, but he was a talented player, Georgie, and a nice fellow as well. He was a good guy. But yeah, me and Rob nicknamed him the Fonz.
Yeah, great guy. What a player he was for Man City. And Derby as well. Warren, was there any heated bus stops in the changing rooms after a game? So if things didn't go well, did you had any busted changing room bus stops at all, or was it just discussions?
Silly for me once. I've got two stories. One was when I was playing for Wimbledon. We was playing Everton at Plough Lane, the old play, and there's a bit of a fracas started in the middle of the pitch with Fashanu and a couple of other John Fashanu's coming up. So I've gone on as a bit of a peacemaker to spread it around. So as I've gone walking into the changing room at half time, John Fashanu has virtually picked me up by my shorts and collar and thrown me against the wall. And I won't use the words that he said, but if you ever do that again, I'll break your arm. And I went, what? He went, it's us against them. We're doing this for a reason. And he said, don't ever do that again. You know, if we're doing it, we're all in. And we all go after them. And that's how we're going to win games. Because ability-wise, they was probably better than us. But if we can get it down to our level at the time. So that was music to my ears because of coming from non-league. It was all about sticking together. So that was one instance about a fracas, and there was never going to be a fight because John would have killed me. So I would never. I just said, "Okay, I'm really sorry, Mr. Fashion. It won't happen again."
I'll tell you what, he was.
Alan, this is unlike Alan actually, but Alan Shearer has come out in recent days and even last week and said about the bust up with Ginola when we were playing Arsenal, and. We'd come in at half time and David was playing great. I mean, Lee Dixon and Gary Neville are very, very good players, top players. But David took them two to the cleaners. And I've never seen anyone do it. But David was having one of them performances. But what he was doing, kept chopping back, won't cross the ball, da-da-da-da. So Alan is making runs, but not getting the ball. David was looking great, but Alan wanted the ball. So as we've come in, you've heard, oi, blah, 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 blah. Why don't you effing cross the ball? Ginola said, F you, Shearer. But I used to sit on the corner where the manager's office was. And Kevin Keegan put his head round the corner to come in to stop it. And I went, leave it, let it. I went, just stay. And they went toe to toe and crossed the ball. And I used to watch you at home when you used to cross the ball. F you, Shearer, F you, Ginola. And me and Les sort of let it go forward. No, it was never going to be fisticuffs. But it got heated, and you got two superstars. Then Kevin put his head round the door after about 30 seconds. I put my thumb up. He come out and went, leave it now, leave it. I don't want you getting involved. He was like the peacemaker. he didn't want to come out when they were getting toe to toe. So he sort of come out and went, all right, leave it now, boys, leave it. Once he knew it had calmed down. But that was sort of a way of just,
man.
Get off their chest. And we knew as players, let it go. It was never going to get, like you've seen Marnie punch someone in the lip and all that bit. We wasn't going to do a Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer where, trying to scratch each other's eyes out. It was like they was just having a few words. And I think Alan went and scored, actually, if I remember rightly. But anyway, he got his point across and Ginola wasn't going to back down and it was all good. And as I said, that was fine. It was never, ever an issue. It never got where you're punching someone in the face and it went on longer than it needed to. But the funniest thing was Kevin, because he wanted to come in and I said no, and he locked the door and then he put his head up 30 seconds later, once it all calmed down, then he come in and stopped it all. So that was KK. That was KK for you.
Oh, bless him. Beautiful story there, beautiful story. Just a few more. Never heard ex-players talk so much about these two, but Gavilan and Bastidas. How were they today in training? And why didn't it work out from Riva? Bastidas was highly rated in South America at the time. He played for Fella Sarsfield, and we got him for a couple £1 million for him. And we got Gavilan for, I can't remember, it's a Pero Quill, or we'll call it a Paraguayan club or something like that sort of thing. But why did it not work out for those two players?
It was the pace of the game, and also the way that we played. They was more. Christian was more technical, wanted the ball, slower pace, but we didn't play like that. And unfortunately for him, his competition was Rob Lee and Gary Speed, which really lost the game, really got injured, and it was just the pace of the game. Two nice fellas. There was and the same with Diego, but Nobby adjusted, both from South America, both had obviously played at big clubs and had the potential. But I think Diego done a piece a little while ago with Clarence Acuna, where Clarence Acuna actually adapted to the Premier League a lot better. His game suited the Premier League where it was physical. Maybe now, 20 years down the line, where the game's not as physical, it's quick, but not as physical in the sense as the contact and how it is now, it might have suited him a little bit better. But again, both were good lads, trained really well. But, you're up against Roberto Solano, who's arguably one of the best players that we've had in an era at St James's. And as I said, Rob Lee was the best pound-to-pound player that I've ever think of being at Newcastle. So it was difficult for them to come in and throw in the pace of the game and the physical side of the game. As well was difficult, but they did try. They never shirked responsibility. They did train hard, but it didn't really pan out for them. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, it's sad because I really wanted those two lads to do really, really well, and it just hasn't worked. Ambassadors went on to Spain for a little bit on loan to Tenerife. Just got more questions as well. From Alan. Warren, was Terry McDermott a character? Because he sounded like a character.
Oh, Terry was funny. He was, and still is now. We pray for him, how he is and what he's going through at the moment. And just a lovely, lovely fella. I mean, what a player, first and foremost. The technique. But he used to be KK's head tennis partner. Obviously, their days back at Liverpool being together. But Terry was lovely. But Terry had a lisp as well, a strong lisp. And his job was to get soup and sandwiches. And if you've got a list, it's the hardest thing to say, soup and sandwiches. So when we would go to away trips, Terry would go to Marx's or get someone to go for him. And he'd be going like, get your soup and sandwiches and stuff like that. But when Terry spoke to you one-on-one, he was brilliant, about the game. But he found it difficult to talk in front of a group. It wasn't him. It wasn't Terry. I mean, a great thing when Kenny Dalglish come to the club, and Kenny Dalglish called him legend. And, we said, wow, bloody hell, you must be some player if Dalglish is calling you legend. Yeah. It was a couple of days later, someone said to Kenny, Terry, what a player. You're calling him legend. He went, it's not for legend. It's not for his football. It's the way he can drink. That's why we call him a legend.
Wow.
So Terry was living off the fact that Dalglish was calling him a legend because of football. And it wasn't. It was because how he could handle his drink. But Terry was brilliant. So much respect for him. Wish him and his family all the best. Just love. It made you feel part of the club. Particularly, he loved Les. He was infatuated with Les about his life and what he led and how he was. Yeah, and he loved him. He loved Terry, as I said, was well liked by everybody, and I mean everybody in the club. And whether that's the security people or whether that's, the players and things like that. Everybody loved him.
Oh,
and still does. And still does.
Absolutely. Terry McDermott is fantastic. Absolutely great guy. Never met him. I'd love to meet him. And you know what? I think he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Just 2 more questions there before we go wrap up the show, because I know Ron's a busy guy. It's great to see you, and supporting the club sounds cheese, but for a London lad to love the club so much, it was great. And you were not a bad footballer as well as Alan T.
Yeah, I mean, it's, people say that about London. And, when I come out about 3 years ago in COVID and said about when the club was on the floor, really, and Ashley obviously didn't want it to sell, wanted to get out. When I heard like, oh, we're just simmering along, it would have been quite easy. I live in California. I could have quite easily just not said anything, but I went a little bit public, and whether it's right or wrong. And I just felt like the club give me so much, and the people up there, as I said, I give everything, but so did they, the people and the football club. And I didn't want to sit back and watch people take the piss out of the club and kick it while it was down. I come out and say, like, it's not fair. This is a great football club. We're not a club that should be ticking along or just simmering along or surviving. There's more to us than that. And then it was great because Big Al got behind me and said, yeah, the club should be better. And then Rob Lee come out publicly and it got a bit of momentum. Then we started doing the Supporters Trust to start generating some faith and some pride back in the club. And, it wasn't too long that the new owners come in and everything, because, as I said, it was the best time of my life up there, not just football-wise, but actually the best time of my life up there. And I'm never going to get that back. And I felt an obligation that, as I said, the people and the football club had given me so much that, I wanted to pay it back with some sort of stand and support for the club. And to see where it is now is brilliant. And I didn't want anything for it. I don't want anything for it. It's just the fact that I didn't want anyone to take the mickey out of my club and the people, because it wasn't fair. So it's great now to see where it is, and whether I'm from London or Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. When I went up there, they made me feel welcome, and there was open arms, and the people, and I mean, not just the players and the people where I used to go to the restaurant sometimes, or we're going to the supermarket, or the fireman Ken that used to. But I'm crap at DIY. There was a guy that I used to, a fireman called Ken, and he helped me with my DIY stuff, and just would do anything for us, and people like Stu and Stevie Burns that, big personalities in the town, and they know all the guys at the door and things. Just people's proper people, and that's why I felt like that. So yeah, it's great that, as I said, the football club's back now.
Yeah. Brilliant. So one more from me. I'll ask you a question beyond as well. How much would Warren like to play under Eddie Howe? Would you love to play for Eddie Howe? If he was your own player and Eddie Howe came in for you, would you enjoy playing under Eddie Howe?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, as I said, he has a way of playing, a style of football. He wants you to be creative. He wants you to go forward. He wants to express yourself. I love the fact that he stuck up for our club. You know, when we had Man United saying this, that, and the other, he just told them to F off. And that's what I like. You know, he's affectionate. You want to play for him. And you can tell by that with the players. And can I just say as well, his coaching staff. I don't think it's just one person. I think he's got that coaching staff, Jason behind him and everybody. They're all pulling in that direction. And, you know, but it comes from him. And the thing that really jumped out with me with Eddie is when he got in his first day at work, he got in early at 6 o'clock. It wasn't necessarily that. That was impressive in his own, getting there early, wanting to be involved at the club. It's when he left late at night. And there was a supporter that had sat there probably for about 5 or 6 hours. And it would have been so easy to make out he's on his iPad or he's on his phone and drive off. But he stopped at 11 o'clock at night or whatever time it was, signed the autograph and had a brief conversation with the fan and drove off. That's when I knew he got it. He got it straight away what the club was about. And KK used to do that. When we used to turn up at training at Maiden Castle and there'd be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 fans there, he said, you're not coming in the change room until you signed all the autographs and pictures. So we had to leave early. We had to leave home an hour early to make sure we got into training on time. And so Bobby would do the same. If we was out and we was getting on the bus, he'd say, oi, someone just wants your autograph over there. Get out and get it. Well, but Gaffer, we got to get a flight. I don't care. Go over there. And you go and do that. And so for me with Eddie, it's a no-brainer. You've only got to look at the players, the way they're playing and what he is. He's what I always said. He's a good person. First and foremost, he's a proper person. And his tactics have been good. He's got an idea, an identity how he's playing. But as I said at the beginning of the show, John, he knows how lucky he is to be the coach. And I think that's one thing that comes along crystal clear for me. And that's why I would love to play for him, because he loves his job and he's passionate about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic manager. He's going to go a long way. And you know what? The longer Eddie stays with us, the better. And he deserves his chance in Europe, so in my opinion. Yeah, that's it then. We're going to wrap it up there. I mean, just one more. I mean, can Newcastle United get Champions League, yes or no? And also, can we get there?
Yes, and yes. It's our time.
Yes, it's our time, Warren. It's our time, man. Yes, that's how I love it. That's how I love it. So that's it. Well, thanks for coming on, Warren. I appreciate that. I know it's been a while to get it back on again, but you know, but where could you find you on your socials? Where people can follow you, or where can find you, and which podcast do you normally go?
Yeah, you can Warren Barton 2 on Twitter and Warren Barton 22 on Instagram. So yeah, we connected, John. We connected. So we're all good.
We're all good, my guy.
No
problem. Before I let you go, and don't go yet, and go say my bit as well. If you guys like the video, like what you see, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. And I do apologize, I can't read all the comments. I've got loads to read out, and I just can't get to them at all whatsoever. But thank you very much for the comments coming through. We're definitely going to get Warren back on again another time. And would you come back on again, Warren, in the future?
You know I will do, my friend. Anything for you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Warren, and thanks to the chat. So I'll be on Pete's channel tomorrow for the watch along. I'm going to do the match review as well, probably tomorrow as well. On Sunday, I'll be doing the transfer update show as well. So join us for that. And Warren, thanks again, and it's been a pleasure. You're a legend. We love you, and thank you so much for coming on. And until then, guys, take care.